PMS, heavy periods, migraines, polyps, cysts, they all have one thing in common: estrogen dominance. And in this video, we're going to talk about all of the common signs of estrogen dominance and what to do about it. Hey, I'm Madeline McKinnon. I'm a nutritionist and the founder of Natural Hormone Healing, and I run an online nutrition practice that's specific for helping women with estrogen dominance, PMS, and period pain. And I have seen so many women struggling with severe symptoms of estrogen dominance, but not having the proper support. So today I really want to go through how you can actually tell if you have estrogen dominance. The most common signs I see. I want to talk about testing, how to actually get proper testing for estrogen dominance, and then we'll talk about next steps, what you can do to actually create a treatment plan for yourself and actually address the estrogen dominance. In my practice, I see a lot of women struggling with estrogen issues that just don't know that they have it. And unfortunately, this condition has been impacting their energy, their moods, and making their period a horrible experience. And often it can get to a point where they're only feeling like themselves for about half of the month. And that's why it's so important that we address this topic. So by the end of this video, I want you to have a clear understanding of estrogen dominance and get the tools necessary to combat it. So first, let's set the record straight about estrogen. Because when I'm talking estrogen dominance, I am by no means saying that estrogen is inherently bad. As females, we need estrogen. It's really quite important for our brain health, for our heart health, for having moist, lubricated skin. We need estrogen. But when we're exposed to too much estrogen, especially compared to our hormone progesterone, we can run into issues because the pro-growth qualities of estrogen can start creating a lot of problems. So let's get into the signs of estrogen dominance. The first sign is heavy periods. If you are losing more than 80 mils of blood per menstrual cycle, that is considered a heavy period. You can also measure this by going through more than 16 regular pads or tampons per cycle. You may also just know that you have a heavy period because you're having experiences where you're bleeding through clothes at work, you're needing to change menstrual products multiple times through the night. Maybe you've had the experience of flooding where you're losing a lot of blood a month, or you could have been diagnosed with anemia due to heavy periods. The reason why estrogen causes heavy periods is because of those pro-growth qualities of estrogen. Estrogen makes your uterine lining grow every month, which results in your period if pregnancy did not happen. So the more estrogen you have, the more that endometrial lining will grow, especially if you don't have enough progesterone to balance it out. Sign number 2, breast pain or fibrocystic breasts. Estrogen, again, it's a pro-growth hormone, so it stimulates breast tissue. So if you've been diagnosed with lumpy or fibrocystic breasts, I would consider that a sign of estrogen dominance that you need to look into. Having sore breasts just a couple days before your period starts is normal. That can be a result of those hormonal changes. But if you have sore breasts like I used to have for 14 days or 10 days out of an entire cycle and they're really bothering you, it can be a clear sign that you're getting too much estrogen. The third sign is any unwanted uterine growths like cysts, fibroids, or polyps. Fibroids are really common, especially in women over 40, and this is often a time where you're naturally going to be in that state of estrogen dominance. And if you have fibroids, I'm going to be posting more videos and resources in this next coming month on what you can do about it. The fourth sign is getting water retention, bloating, or puffiness in the second half of your cycle, especially leading up to your period. One of those reasons is because estrogen has anti-diuretic properties, while progesterone, on the other hand, has diuretic properties. So if your estrogen is high compared to your progesterone, you're going to run into issues. So you may notice that you're gaining a couple pounds on the scale before your period, or you might notice just overall puffiness and water retention. Number 5 is you've been diagnosed with a condition called adenomyosis, which is a really painful condition similar to endometriosis, where the endometrial tissue starts to grow inside of the uterine lining and cause a tremendous amount of pain. I've tested many of my clients who've been diagnosed with adenomyosis, and many times we've seen that they've had poor estrogen detoxification, and I've been seeing in their lab tests they've had a harder time detoxing estrogen. So it's really important, if you've been diagnosed with adenomyosis and you have some of these other symptoms, look into treating your estrogen dominance. It could be a crucial part in helping you reduce more of the adenomyosis growth and reduce the pain. Number 6 is PMS, irritability, or rage. So if you're someone who in the second half of your cycle, you need to isolate and avoid members of your family or your partner, you are not alone. This is very common with estrogen dominance. Having high amounts of estrogen and not enough progesterone can actually start to impact the neurochemistry in your brain, and it's often the cause of that PMS, rage, and irritability. Number 7 is you're experiencing multiple menstrual headaches and migraines, especially if you're noticing symptoms around ovulation and right before your period. That rise and fall of estrogen can be a major trigger for headaches. It's not the reason for all menstrual migraines, but if you're checking off some of these other symptoms and you're putting them together, I would look into estrogen dominance as a possible cause for these headaches and migraines. And sign number 8 is you have a personal or family history of ER-positive cancers like breast cancer. I think especially if you do have a family history and you have some of these symptoms that I'm listing in this video, being proactive and testing and addressing estrogen dominance is a really important thing that you can do for your hormone health, because there are tests that you can do to check to see how well you're detoxing your estrogen. And if we see in those tests that there's an issue, then we can actually get a plan to address it. What can we do to take action? If you're having 2 or more of any of these symptoms, let's talk about what you can do to address it. But first, if you're liking this content, hit like, subscribe, because I'm posting new videos all about hormone health every single week. So first, we need to verify if you actually have estrogen dominance. I don't recommend creating a full treatment protocol solely based on symptoms. There actually are testing methods that can be done for you to really see exactly what's going on. I generally recommend getting a dried urine test. There's companies like the Dutch test that does really thorough readings of all of the hormones. Why urine is because we want to actually test your urine metabolites for estrogen dominance. You can get some data through blood, but often what I see with a lot of clients is that their blood tests come back normal. But when we test your metabolites, which is actually showing how well your estrogen is being detoxed in your body, then that's when we can get the clarity and actually get a treatment plan together. The second thing is to really look at food. Food has a powerful effect at addressing estrogen dominance. And when you're getting the right specific nutrients and fiber and food in your diet, you can effectively decrease and lower the estrogen in your body. If you want to learn more about testing for estrogen dominance and nutrition, I have a webinar that you can sign up for below called Reversing Estrogen Dominance. I'll put all of the info in the box there, and I'll go through more in depth on how to actually test for and address estrogen dominance with specific dietary protocols and natural protocols. And this training is completely free and you can sign up for it below. Often you may go to a doctor and they'll say that there's nothing you can do about your symptoms, or they may say something like estrogen dominance doesn't exist. But in fact, estrogen dominance is real and there are treatment methods available. So if you found this content helpful, I recommend signing up for that training below and I'll share more information with you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some clarity. If you have any questions on estrogen dominance, let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you personally.